Welcome back to the Football Tragics. I'm your host, Aaron. I'm joined here by Tony and Morty. Surprised you two aren't barking at each other already. I don't know which one of you wants to be here. Tony, you probably don't want to be here.
Reluctantly, I wish one of you guys knew how to run this pod because I don't really feel like being here today, to be honest.
Well, we are
That's why we go around, mate.
Without Campo today, he's probably chosen that specific reasons. They went down to West Ham, which we'll get into a bit later. But we're going to kick it off with the Arsenal-Villa game. Arsenal won 3-1 at home. I had this one going Arsenal's way. I thought they'd get the better. Emi Martinez, though, did save a penalty. Got a great penalty record. But Aubameyang finished it off. Tony, what were your thoughts on this one? Were you shocked by the result?
Not shocked. I put Arsenal Villa actually in my tips as an upset. But I think, like we said on the last pod, Arsenal have they found that run of form. They're playing good football. They're getting results. And to me, this was another game exactly like the Tottenham game. They came out guns blaring. They got that first goal. They got that second goal. They got the third goal. And that's all we saw of Arsenal. They kind of just went to sleep. So, big save by Emi, return back to the Emirates. But I think big result from Arsenal. And this could be the game that pushes them towards that top four because they're only a couple points out now.
Yeah, it was a great performance all around. Like Thomas Partey, obviously getting the score sheet, solid as ever. Emil Smith-Rowe really ran the show. I think he was quite decent. Getting a goal himself as well. I think Ramsdale would be a bit annoyed that they couldn't keep that clean sheet. You saw that Jacob Ramsey strike. No keeper saving that. It's absolute top bins. But as a keeper, that's like scoring a goal, isn't it? Getting a clean sheet. So it'd be hard done by. But 3-1 win. It's a very good result for Arsenal. Puts them in some good form. I had a message from Baxter, who has been on before. He said, "Is Arsenal one of the most informed teams in the league right now?" Morty, do you think so?
I don't know whether we can call them. They're in form, but they're still not up to the absolute standard that they should be at as that sort of club. I think we can say they're in form. They're on the right track going forward. But I think what's more important for that team is Partey's back in the squad. And I think we all kind of just, forgot and laughed at Arsenal fans when they said that they were missing players and missing key players. But he's turned it around, and they're going forward. They're on the right track. They're back, scoring goal, and it shows just how much a holding mid can change teams in this league these days because of how everyone plays.
On the other hand, Villa 3 defeats in a row now. How's it looking for their season? Do you think they're underperforming? How would you sum up their season so far?
They've been a tad lackluster in regards to they've come off some form last year. They're on the right track. They sold Grealish at the right time for the right amount of money, but it's just more about how that money goes back into the club. And I think I don't know whether they've rushed it a little bit in some of the signings, but they still are lacking that more attacking threat. They've signed attacking players, but they've just a bit, more Tottenham tactic of they signed about 3 to replace 1, and that never really works. They really need to have that key player come in and by all means bring in some backups, but they should be having that bigger name. Not saying go out and spend 100 million on another player, but 30, 40 on one player to replace him would have been the better option than 20 on this one, 20 on that one, 20 on this one.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Morty on that one because with $100 and whatever it was $1 million they did bring in, they could have attracted, not saying a superstar, but a lot better than a Danny Ings. Take nothing away from his scoring record and how many goals he puts in the back of the net because he's going to score goals for him. You could have attracted a lot more. Lukaku, an example, went to Chelsea, but you could have had someone a little bit less than Lukaku and spent $60 million who's going to come in and he's going to score 15, 20 goals. So to only replace him with a Danny Ings he scored goals for Southampton, but he was their only outlet, and you've kind of put him in that same situation.
So you're not happy with their transfer window then?
Well, I'm not saying I'm not happy with it. I think if they're a club with ambitions at the moment, they're doing exactly what I thought they would do. They'd come in, they'll win some games, they'll lose some games, they'll lose some on the trot, they'll do enough to survive, they'll probably finish mid-table. I think that's where we all had Villa, besides I think Campo, coming into the season. But am I happy if I'm sitting here as a Villa fan with their transfers? yes, because I haven't seen or expected anything else. If I'm looking at how someone like, and I'll use a Liverpool, for example, would invest $100 million, or a Chelsea would invest $100 million, it's going to be a lot better.
I don't mind their transfers. I think Emi Buendia's great acquisition. Leon Bailey showed that he's class. He's obviously been a bit hard done by with injuries. I don't mind Danny Ings, although it was out of nowhere. I didn't think they needed him. They've got Ollie Watkins, so that was a bit of a strange one. I think defensively is their issue, and we've all seen our Villa fan mate talking about how bad they are defensively recently. So that's probably somewhere they could have invested heavily. And maybe in the January transfer window, they can put some money towards the defence. Not sure exactly who you bring in, but I'm sure there's someone out there that scouts to be looking at, and hopefully, get them back on that right track. Because I think if you go off last season, you never want to go backwards the season after, do you? Regardless of what club you are, you're always looking to build and build. So yes, they've gotten rid of Jack Grealish now, but they've got a lot of money and they've spent it somewhat decent. So they should be looking to finish in this, 8, 7, 6 spots, I'd say, pushing for European football. So to finish anything below 10th this season is probably a pretty poor one. But yeah, look, it's a long season. 3 on the trot, though. They need to break that right this next game and then kick on again.
In the end, this game was a tale of form, like we've said. I think Arsenal, I looked at it before, in 5 games, they got 11 points. Villa's only got 10 for the season. So it's a run of form. One team started well, one team started poor, and they've connected at that stage, and Arsenal took the points.
So do you think Arsenal have got it right now? Obviously, defensively they're better, but they've still lost the games that they should be losing, in my opinion. They lost to... No, sorry, they beat Spurs. That's probably the only one, but they've lost to the Chelsea's. They've lost to the City. They're winning games that they probably should be comfortably winning, in my opinion. So until they start coming up against even United, for example, that'd be interesting to watch, given the way the two clubs are right now.
The only game I can look at and say, okay, Tottenham are going to lose that, or Arsenal, we're going to win that game at the start of the season, is that Brentford one. Like you said, the other ones they've lost, fair enough. Like, it's a City who we expected to win the league. It's a Chelsea who we expect to be up there, but Brentford's the only one that really stands out like a wow.
So we're still not convinced on Arsenal? We're still expecting more from them?
I think they can give a lot more. Whether we see it this year, maybe not, but I think they've now cemented their spot in that top 6, to be honest. I think that's where they're going to end up, somewhere in that top 6. Where it is, who knows, but they'll end up somewhere in there.
What do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that. There's nothing wrong where they're at as a club right now. I just think that they just make sure they don't get stuck in complacency and being going with that top 6, because previously, 15 years ago, they would be that top 4, top 2. And I think that's kind of where they got comfortable, just finishing fourth, and then they've fallen away from that because now 4th is now good for them. They should be looking to win a title in the next 3 to 4 years, if that's the way they want to go.
I think it's safe to say that there's no question marks over Mikel Arteta's sacking anymore. I think he's kind of put that to bed with these results, which is obviously good for him. I don't know if he was ever really under threat at the club, but yeah, I suppose moving forward, that's their manager. Moving forward, for us, Chelsea 7-0 over Norwich. I didn't have it this heavy goals. I had a 4-0 myself, but when nobody is shocked by this result, it's top of the table versus bottom of the table, who should just pretty much relegate right now. They lasted 8 minutes, and then Mason Mount opened the scoring, and then from there it just got worse and worse. It was 3-0 at half-time, and then, as I said, it got worse after the break. Red card didn't help 65 minutes in. As a Chelsea fan, over the moon with the result, you always want to score as many goals as you can. Helps that goal difference. You may as well take advantage of it when you can. It's good to see that Mason Mount got a hat-trick, and also just the fact that so many different goal scorers from our club. I think we've got the most goal scorers out of everybody. Our defenders are still scoring goals, like Ben Chilwell and Reece James here. So I think it's just an impressive result as a whole, but it doesn't, I love it, but Norwich, you can't look into it too much. It's just one of those results you expect. You put 3 points down before the season starts. Keeps us top of the league, so good result, but yeah, it's not too much to say about it. What do you reckon, Morty?
again, you just look like the attacking threat that you should be. I mean, yes, it's against Norwich, but you can only play what's in front of you, and they did a job on them. So he's the better attacking force without Lukaku in the squad because, as you said, you've got plenty more goal scorers on the thing, and he's looked not so one-dimensional, I guess. Not to say that it's not the best idea to play to Lukaku, but you were going left, right, centre, in and out, Mount's run around. They're all just doing whatever they wanted to do, and maybe we all laugh at City because they still don't have a striker, but maybe this might be the way forward because you look at the teams that aren't playing with the big classic number 9, number 10, and they seem to be trouncing the league right now.
Yeah, well, most of the clubs that do have the big number 1 this season seem to be struggling. Harry Kane, for example, can't score. Lukaku, he's got a few goals. Ronaldo's got a few goals. But I think maybe in the past we probably were relying on Lukaku a bit too much, trying to get in those goals. So without him and Werner this game, it was just a different Chelsea, I suppose. I would have loved to see Havertz get a goal, playing that false 9 position. But yeah, it's just a different way of football, I suppose. And it's good that you can test it out against these Norwiches and the teams like that. So I don't know. I suppose it's just a possible way we can rest Lukaku in these games when he is fit and still get the job done. Tony, what do you think about that?
What does this team offer to the Premier League, honestly? What does Norwich, honestly, can we relegate them 2 divisions? Because we know it's going to happen. They're going to go back down. They're probably going to get back promoted. They'll be back in the Premier League, and we'll be sitting here in 2 years' time going, they're going to break the record for least amount of points in the Premier League. I don't understand how you get X amount of money for coming up into the Premier League, yet we never see it invested in a squad that gets better. Surely with the $200 and whatever $1 million you get, they could have put together a squad that, I'm not saying beat Chelsea, but not get smashed 7-0 where it could have been 12. They had both their strikers out. Werner's up in the stands getting his lolly stolen from him, probably wondering why can't I score a goal when everyone else can. It's just embarrassing. If I was a fan of Norwich right now, I'm going, I'll see you next season when we win the championship because I'm not interested in the Premier League for the rest of the year.
I mean, look, they made a few trends. I think they brought in Ozan Kabak that was on loan at Liverpool last year. So they're probably thinking, we've got a Liverpool player here, but he's not able to do anything. I think Max Aarons is probably their standout player. He probably wishes he didn't turn down that contract for Barcelona a few years ago. He chose to stick with Norwich and hope that he can kind of build his own resume. He probably should have jumped ship because whether or not his value is going up or down, it's hard to stand out. It's hard to perform well in a team that's just over the park is performing badly.
Well, I mean, we said Brendan Williams there on loan, and what's he getting from this? How to concede a goal? Brilliant. He'll fit in perfectly to our backline when he comes back if he learns how to concede a few goals every game.
Well, it's similar to we sent Billy Gilmore on loan there. He should be getting this experience, and they're not even playing him. But he's probably I would hand on heart say he's their best centre mid they've got, but he's not even getting game time because they're sticking with who they've already got. So it's something needs to change there. They need to pick up a few points here and there, but like we say every week, where are these points going to come from? They've got 2. Will they get past the 11-point mark? Because I think relegation's already done at this point. So
they're done. I said it 5 weeks ago. They're breaking that record, boys. It's coming down.
It'd be a good watch if it does. All right, tell us
before we move on. We talk about all these clubs, spending big money, pumping their money into these Premier League squads. We forget that yes, every club gets this $200 million thing when they come up from the league. Do we have to start making them actually use that money? Should they have to be proved that a percentage of this money is going because at the end of the day they're coming into the league for the TV rights of paying for this viewership, and right now I couldn't be bothered waking up at 3 a.m. to watch Liverpool batter Norwich at this point.
I think the biggest issue is that it doesn't have to be put into the players as per se. Yes, players will get increases in their wages, but that money could be getting used towards hiring more staff, getting stadium upgrades. But maybe there's a thing where you say 50% of it has to go towards signing new players.
But then you look at the Fulham example from a few years ago where they did reinvest all this money into a new squad and they performed just as badly as they would if they didn't. So I agree. The Premier League probably should say, look, we need you to be competitive. This is the biggest league in the world. We can't have you getting beat 7-0 every week. But at the end of the day, it's football and it can happen.
Well, do we adapt the rule? I think is it the German league where the last place team plays the first place team in the lower division? The winner stays up. if the championship side can't beat the Premier League side in 20th, don't put them in the side. Don't put them in the league.
What do you have one off?
At the same time, we had Norwich play who went down last season.
But that's punishing a team who performed well all over the course of a season.
Yeah.
Say,
but I don't want Norwich in the Premier League. I don't want them in the Premier League.
No, but they could put it together for that one-off game. That's the problem. It's a one-off, it'd be one-offs or
there's
2
there's 37. They're not going to put it in for.
That's why the Premier League works so well, because you've got the Premier relegation.
It's going to get Norwich from the league.
Yes, I'm down for that.
I don't care if you finish first in the championship next year. You're not coming back up. You can go to the Bundesliga. You can go to the Bundesliga.
You're gone. 5 years. Gone.
Put them in the Super League. They don't exist anymore. All right. Palace versus Newcastle. I had this one down for a 1-1 draw, and that's exactly how it finished. I thought Newcastle come into a bit of trouble here. It's at the end of the day, yes, they've got new owners, but it's the exact same team. Yes, I know Steve Bruce is gone. They haven't yet got a manager. Looks like it's almost done. Fabrizio Romano's reporting on that. But until January, I think we're not going to see too much change. Tony, what were your thoughts on this game and Newcastle?
Hey, fair play to Newcastle. This is a Palace team who we've been giving credit to over the last couple of weeks. They're starting to play really good football. Vieira ball, as it's going to start getting called on this pod. They've started playing good football, and both teams probably would have wanted the 3 points from this game, but I think over the basis of the game, a 1-1 draw is what was deserved. And like you said, you predicted it. I think we all could have put somewhere, gone either way, but deep down we knew that this game could have ended in a 1-1 or 0 draw. So
you look at, I watched the mini match for this game, and Palace were all over Newcastle. It's just I don't see anything happening at Newcastle that's changed.
But what can change until a transfer window? Really, it's the same players. It's a coach that I don't even know who's in charge at the moment, but it's someone that was under Bruce. What's going to change in the space of a week?
So they bring in this new manager, for example. I think it's Forenska or someone. I don't remember his name exactly. Do you think he has enough to be able to change and then start picking up wins? Because you see it happen. A new manager comes in and usually they win their first couple games. It depends on the club, obviously. But you've seen Claudio Ranieri, which we'll get into in a bit. Big win, second game in charge. Obviously, he had Liverpool first. So a manager can come in and just change the team completely. Do you think that's going to happen with Newcastle, with the players they've got?
Depends when he comes in. Depends who they've got in front of him when he comes in. If they come into a draw where it's Chelsea, City, Liverpool, no. But if they come in where they've got that 1 or 2 comfortable games, maybe against the Norwich, maybe against the Leeds at the bottom of the table where a 3-point win is massive, I think in a week or two he can change at least the culture there, change the way they play, change the way they attack, defend. It's possible. Like you said, Ranieri's done it. We'll get into that after, but it's definitely possible.
They need to invest heavily in the window, would you say, both of you?
Yeah.
Okay. But in terms of this result, Morty, good result for who exactly? Would you take it if you're a Palace fan, if you're a Newcastle fan? What were your thoughts on the game?
I think you can be happy as a Newcastle fan. It's just another point. They're pretty much not going to finish 20th. They've only got 2 spots to battle with. I think that if they were just happy to grab some draws and moving it forward, Newcastle fans would take it. They know there's bigger and brighter things to come, and where Newcastle will benefit is if they do take their time picking the right manager and getting the right things in behind and not rushing to just bring someone in to replace him now. That's where the money will be spent right, because obviously they've got all the money in the world. So at least take your time to spend it right before you try and implement Bob Braille. This coach is available, so we'll do this, rather than, okay, we'll come into the season, we could get this one across the line, or this one can come over from this league and start building it up that way. So Palace, they turned it around from the start of the year as well. So a point here is, still another point moving forward. I think they'll both be happy. Not happy, but they're content with this. Nothing really is going to phase it. So
I want to touch on Palace here. They're formed 4 draws in a row now. We've praised Palace plenty of times, and I do like the football they're playing. But are they not? They're not seeing our games. They've probably led in most of these games. You look at the game against Brighton, they dropped points there. Against Arsenal as well, they dropped points right at the death. They should be sitting much higher in the table than what they are. So are they underperforming given the way they're actually playing? Like, are they not getting as many points as they should, or are they just like they're trying to make it click as a whole, and then the points will come after that?
I think they're underperforming on the basis of the football we've seen them play. They're playing good football, and like we said, it's that last 10, 15 minutes, if not later, that they're dropping points. On the basis of how we thought Palace would play coming into this season, I think they're exactly where they're at. They're going to come in, they're going to win a few games, they're going to get a few draws. That's Palace.
I agree with that. All right, moving forward, another team that's they definitely are underperforming. Leeds United at home against Wolves. Tony, you probably smiled. You can see you smile at this one. You didn't have much to smile about this week, but it's Leeds. They're continuing to drop points. They're sitting 17th, I believe. What's going on there? Wolves not being too bad. I had this one down for a Leeds win. I thought they'd get it together back with Rafinha in the lineup, but no, it's just not Leeds' year, it seems. Morty, what do you reckon?
Well, I picked up Wolves for the win here, and I think they let it slip. I mean, obviously they Leeds probably had the better chances and a lot more of the ball, but Wolves were playing like Wolves were trying to do, and they scored within 10 minutes, but then they kind of just got content. And when you don't press Leeds, there's never any space that's going to open up because they will take it to you at the end of the day. So I think they kind of probably bottled the second half. The tactics probably didn't fit right the rest of this game, and Leeds just managed to scrape through. So
yeah, well, Wolves struck early. Huang Hee-chan is scoring a few goals now. He's starting to make that striker position his own. He's got obviously Jimenez up with him. So it's interesting to see the way they're lining up with those two. Leeds, they did get a 94th minute penalty, which Rodrigo slapped home and went mad. Ellen Rowe was ecstatic. Do you think that right there helps them in any way? Like, obviously, it's a point's better than none. Do you think the atmosphere there, the fans getting around the team, do you think that can maybe push them forward, Tony?
Yeah, I think that was it. That could happen. I think that goal, that celebration, was more of a frustration relief. Leeds dominated this game. They had 63% possession. They had double the shots. It's a game they would have been expecting to get 3 points from, watching it as it goes on. Instead, they had to wait to the 94th minute, and if that goal doesn't go in, they're 2 points ahead of relegation. Like, a point like this, when you dominate, it feels like a win. And for Leeds, a point could keep them up at the end of the season, the way they're playing. So I think they take it. For me, I'm happy. They're dropping more points. It's the only thing that's bringing me happiness in the last couple of weeks is Leeds dropping points. So I'm upset at Wolves for not holding out.
All right. We mentioned Ranieri's Watford a little earlier. Let's get into it now. Massive 5-2 win away from home over Everton. Joshua King returning to Everton and getting a hat-trick. This is just Ranieri, isn't it? Like, this is his magic? He's worked this, or is it Everton's crap? Morty, I'll let you start, being a Liverpool fan. What do you reckon?
I love this result. I can't lie. It's always good to see Everton get battered. But yeah, I don't know whether it's Everton getting some players back and going, oh, well, Townsend doesn't have to do his job anymore and Richarlison's there. They kind of just, like, they scored, they did the thing, but defensively they were shambles. I mean, Josh King getting a hat-trick, like, that wouldn't have happened 5 years ago. And he's probably passing the time now. Can't even name the other goal scorers, but, Watford maybe turning the tides and going ahead with it, hopefully, because I just love watching Everton get battered. So,
well, yeah, like I said, Ranieri obviously came in last week. He came up against a tough Liverpool squad, 5-0. You don't look into it too much because I think it was going to happen regardless of who the manager was. And then he stays in. Well, he goes to Merseyside this time, being away from home, and yeah, they found themselves 2-1 down, 63rd minute. Richarlison's back. Everton fans are probably started thinking, finally, we've got one of our main strikers back. And then the defense just fell apart. What was it, 4 goals they conceded after that were just all who was marking who. And like you said, Josh King getting a hat-trick, you don't hear that often. And yeah, just the defensive that's collapsed, and Watford run away with it. Watford probably deserved the win, in my opinion. And yeah, hopefully they take this result and move forward. Tony, what were your thoughts on the game?
Well, obviously, I'm a big fan of Claudio. I think he's a great manager. I think he was hard done by how he did leave Leicester. So it's good to see him back in the Premier League. It's good to see him turning Watford into a team that can score goals. However, like we said, I think a lot of that blame has to go onto Everton. 3 minutes in, I think he was thinking, like, can I get out of here? I don't want to be here anymore. Like, the club's done. And then to turn it around and win 5-2, 4 goals in the space of 15 minutes, hey, I'm not saying, like I said last week, I'm not saying they're going to win the league, but he's turned this club around a lot quicker than what I thought. So if he can get them playing football how they played that last 20 minutes for 90-minute games, mate, Watford are going to be a great team to watch for the rest of this year.
What I'm hearing from you is that Watford's going to win the league.
Only if it's 5,000 to 1.
All right, Southampton versus Burnley, 2-2 draw. Let's get into it. Maxwell Cornet, Morty, you said, like, left back, top goal scorer for Burnley. He's proved to be a perfect signing for them. Yes, like it's unbelievable that a player like this has gone to Burnley. An exciting player is playing for Burnley.
It's shocking, really. Let's be real. Burnley actually spending money in a transfer market. We talk about clubs, not spending money in the league. Burnley go Exhibit A, and I mean, at the end of the day, it still ended up in a draw. Really, Burnley put in performance. They're their best and still end up in a draw. So
yeah, well, it says 2-2 there. Like Tino Livramento scoring first, the man he signed from Chelsea. He's probably been their best player all season. Unreal at right back. And then Armando Broja from loan from Chelsea again scores, and he's been great. He's got 2 in 2 now, and he's looking like he could replace Danny Ings. They're scoring goals, but against Burnley at home probably should be picking up these 3 points here. Campo doesn't have to praise them yet. We did say last week he's obviously not here now, but I'm sure if they did win, would make him get on so they can get some of that praise. Do Southampton need to start winning games, or are they sitting okay where they are? Tony, what do you think?
I think they're in trouble. There's only so many games where you can say Southampton played good football and didn't get all 3 points. Against the Burnley, I don't think anyone expects to concede 2 goals against Burnley, let's be honest. I don't expect them to get out of their own half. It's quite worrying. They're only on 8 points, 4 points above the drop. Still don't think they'll go down. They're still playing good football, but if I'm a Saints fan, I'm getting really worried that if we don't start picking points up soon, we're going to get pulled into that relegation. But again, I don't expect them to be there in 6 to 7 weeks.
Yeah, well, Givo, who obviously used to be on the pod, Southampton fan, he raised a question, should maybe they start playing Tino Livramento a bit higher and bring Kyle Walker-Peters back into right back, because he's obviously fed up with their wingers. Redmond, Walcott, even Genepo, like they're not good enough, are they? Like Walcott, I think, is well past it. When he first came in, there was obviously that aura that it's the club legend returning, played well for a couple of weeks, but then he's just been pretty average since. Redmond had that massive chance. I don't know if you saw that. How's he not scoring that? How's he putting that wide? I don't know. That changes the game, I think. So
he was watching Timo Werner highlights the day before.
Highlights on YouTube. But maybe that's somewhere they need to reinvest in January. I'll look at that and think we're not creating enough chances out wide. So do they possibly put Livramento up higher this week? If I would like to say it, I think it'd be good. He's quite good going forward. But yeah, that's probably a position they need to address, and they do need to start picking up wins, especially at home against teams that are.
Put Ralph back in his suit. They'll win this weekend. It's on in his
That's the problem. He's not been wearing his best. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on. Pretty sure the win was in the best. So superstitions.
He's up against Ranieri this week. He's not winning even if he wears a suit.
Well, that'll be a very interesting game. But yeah, we'll definitely get into that on our preview. Morty, what were your thoughts just on the game though, as a whole? Are you surprised by the result?
This doesn't happen often, but we've been giving Campo a bit of stick. But there is some truth to what Campo has been saying. I mean, I just went back through their previous results, and they haven't. Like, they've had some good ones, but they're drawn with Newcastle. They've lost to Everton, and as we're seeing, we're in Matchday 9 now, and these are the teams that they should have been grabbing some points against because of how poorly they're doing now. And looking forward, they still haven't played the big boys. They've lost. They're going to lose those points there, and they've already played some of the bottom three. So
I see how it is. We haven't played the big boys. I see how it is.
Well, that's what I'm going to get
to. Do we want to get into your result yet, or like I don't think we could.
Well, that's where I want to praise, and that's where Tony will obviously give praise to Southampton. They picked up a good draw against City, where they probably should have won. A draw against United, where I don't know, it was an interesting game, but yeah, that's a good point as well in itself. A 0-0 with West Ham, not a bad result, but like you say, they're dropping points where they should be winning. So I think there's two ends for this Southampton team. They have performed well and they're playing good football in these games. And they're getting draws against bigger teams, but they're not winning the games that they should be winning. And that's where you can kind of say maybe they've been a bit average. And I think that's what Campo's basing them off. So,
yeah.
All right.
Not much else to say.
No, we move forward into a team that's obviously picking up result after result. It was a top four clash this week. It was Brighton versus Man City. City winning 4-1. I don't think it's not a shock. I think Brighton maybe could have kept it a little closer, but City just every week they're just showing why they are the champions. Tony, I'll let you start with this one. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, pretty straightforward result. Obviously, we expected City to get these points. They've gone out. They've done what they needed to do. Brighton, fair play to them. Didn't give up. They did get that goal. They did have probably the goal line clearance of the year so far off that line. That shows that their players are still willing to fight, whether they're in a result or they're not in a result. And it's those kind of features that if you have that in a team, you're probably going to win more games than not when it comes close. So good win for City. Keeps them in that top three charge, but I don't think Brighton will be too upset by this result.
Sorry, Morty, you mentioned it earlier. Teams playing without a striker, it's definitely working for City. They obviously missed out on Kane. They're playing Phil Foden now, where they were playing Ferran Torres before. Jesus still on the right. How good is Phil Foden? Not just in this position, but as a whole. He's young, and he is basically Pep's masterpiece at this point. Like, he is unbelievable. Every game he plays, he seems to do something magic. And how far can he take this team? Can he play that number, the false nine number, that role there, and really give them? Could he win the league for them? Basically,
well, you've taken the words out of my mouth. He is, honestly, even with the likes of KD being outscored, he should be the first one on that team sheet week in, week out. And I think Pep needs to realise that and go, you know what? Whatever rotation we do, whatever thing, every game, get some regularity to his game, because there's nothing that bloke can't do. He's a baller. He is, I think, and it's scary to see because he's probably the first sightings of the money that City have put in behind closed doors into their youth. And if this is what they've produced already, and it's scary to think about what could come out of that money, because we're looking, the money's been in that club for 10 years now. This is that youth development, and yeah, it's worrying because there could be a whole another 11 Fodens to come.
Well, I think he's just showing he can play as number 9, false 9. He can play as an 8. Like he's done it for England a couple of times, and everybody's saying how good he is there. He's done it for City a couple of times. I think it's just crazy that they signed Jack Grealish, and yet Phil Foden's the standout. And I think KDB's obviously been injured a fair bit. He's not had an amazing season even when he has played. So I think it's just like shows he probably didn't need a Jack Grealish. He probably should have gone after that Kane, even though it's working. He should have gone after the Kane and trusted Phil Foden to be that Jack Grealish player. Do I think Jack Grealish has had a bad start to his City career? No, I think he's just been okay. He's played some good games, but he's not standing out like he probably should be, I think.
Yeah, but who stands out in that squad? We say Foden, but there is a handful of players I can count on my one hand that can stand out in that City squad. If you've got quality around the park.
If you're Jack Grealish, do you want to stand out though? Is he happy just being in a winning team that's playing Champions League football, or do you think he does want the stats, the goals, the assists that he's not really getting? Tony, what do you think of that?
Mate, if you're lifting one or more trophies at the end of the year as Jack Grealish, I don't think you're really caring if you were a standout player or a squad player. He's there to win trophies. He's there to help them win trophies. If that's with 1 assist or 20 assists, he's going to take it. I don't think he cares.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. All right, Campo, he's not here. Tony, we're going to roll a clip from last week, a preview, sorry.
This is Campo's. Let's say a reaction. It wasn't a reaction, but this is what he thinks about the game.
We said it on the previous pod. West Ham have Europa. They go all out for that. They win that. They have no depth to come back to the Premier League and put up a 90-minute performance.
All right, and if you just want to pull up that score right there, West Ham 1, Tottenham 0. Well, Campo, I wish we had you here for this one. Yeah, they put it together. They got that win over Spurs after European football. Spurs midweek rested, I think, for this game. They got done.
The whole squad for this game.
They got done by Vitesse in the Conference League. They come out and they get done again. Where do we start? What do we say? West Ham, this is a brilliant result for them. I think this has pushed them back. Like they needed this result to prove that they can come back from European football where they're playing really well, they're winning games, and get that win. Then they are sitting in 4th spot, 5 points off the top. Tottenham looked in 6th, but this is a game that if you're resting players for it, you need to be sure as heck almost winning this game. Tony, what are your thoughts on the game?
I think it was a good result for West Ham, obviously. Not just the 3 points, but Antonio gets back to scoring ways. It wasn't a match where it was a 5-6 goal thriller. It was a match where they really dug in. They held themselves defensively. They went forward and scored that goal. And I think that honestly makes Campo's comment even better because it wasn't a goal in the second minute. It was a goal in the last 20 minutes that won in the game. So I don't know. It's Kane, I don't know. Maybe it was better cashing in on that 100 and whatever million they were going to get for him because he's in a slump of form. And I say it each week. I don't see him breaking it. I don't see him being the player that Spurs need to build around. If I'm giving someone there a 10-year contract, I'm giving it to Son. I'm selling Kane and I'm building around Son.
How frustrated do you think Kane will be? He's got 1 goal in 9 games now in the league. Like, he loves goals. He is a goal scorer. He knows how to score goals. Is it just a slump in form, or is it teams finding out about big strikers and somehow working against them? Yet Mikel Antonio here is scoring goals. Morty, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't know where to start without pissing myself laughing. Tottenham have just been in freefall. Not long ago, they were up against Liverpool in the Champions League final, and they sacked their coach, and it's been shambolic ever since. Like this, we might not be able to hold Tottenham and say Tottenham should be in the Champions League final every year, but this will never have happened under Poch. Whatever happens, Poch would not have let this happen. It might have got the same result on the weekend, but you could say, fair enough game. They've won their midweek game. They've done what they can. This was just a good game on the weekend. But Tottenham as a club, they were in good position. They had the best number 9 in the world. They were moving forward. They just needed some more investment in the club. What is it? What is it with this thing? Is this just not points that football boards ruin clubs because they're the ones making all these decisions. It's not the thing. Players just go out in the park and they reflect what's going on behind closed doors. And
they've basically held a player at ransom who was adamant he wanted to leave. He basically came out and said he wanted to leave, and it's just not worked in their favour. And they're probably thinking now, well, we're not getting the goal. We thought we could go and get 30 goals from Kane this year. Get back in the Champions League spots. Then maybe you can go Kane, and then we can recruit someone else because we've got the pool of Champions League. And they're thinking now, well, we've only got 1 goal out of this guy that we wanted 160 million for or whatever, and he's only given us 1 goal in return for this year. So they're probably thinking, yeah, we should have got rid of him, and we're not going to get as much for him.
They think they are this mega club, and not wrong. No, but honestly, I think they look at themselves and go, "Oh, we are this massive club," and there's not wrong to have aspirations of that, but they're not. And they need to be they need to build towards it, not just pretend like they are already. Like that Champions League final should have been a great moment for them. Build on it, go forward with it. But they just think that, we'll go get Jose.
They should be looking at Leicester. They should be looking at Leicester and doing what Leicester did. Win the league, and they haven't actually really missed it. Obviously, they've slipped up a little bit. They haven't missed a beat since, I think. Yes, they haven't got Champions League every year, but they're still sitting there on those European spots. I think for as long as you can think now, since Leicester won the league, have they missed out on European football at all? I don't think so. I think the worst they did was Europa League.
Europa is the worst they've done.
Yeah, which is for Leicester still good, yes. When you've got big four like a United, Liverpool, Chelsea, City.
And they sold their best players to fund them moving forward, and they haven't put a foot wrong since. And not only that, has Tottenham even rung through a youth player since? Like, Kane was the last one, and that was good 6 years ago now. Like, what youth have they rung through?
They've had a few. I think Tengenga's probably one of the ones they could look at. Oliver Skip.
He's been shambles too.
Up through, but you're right. He got sent off the other week, throwing hands.
But they don't put any faith into these players. They don't give them time. They don't think. It seemed like that they had a debut, whatever, and then we haven't heard of him since. Campo was all over him last year, and we saw him for 5 games, and I haven't heard a word of him ever since.
Yeah, well, look, we don't have Campo. I would have loved his reaction to this game, especially after you played that clip for us, Tony. I would have loved to hear what he had to say after that. But we might have to touch on it when hopefully he can for our preview for next week. Hopefully he can touch on it. But we'll move forward. Brentford versus Leicester. Pretty good game, this one, end to end. I was surprised. I thought Brentford could have got a win here, could have come away with a win. Leicester get the 2-1 win. Tony, what were your thoughts on this one?
I think the first 10, 15 minutes, sorry, I almost sneezed then, 10, 15 minutes, it was Brentford.
Yep.
And then we probably arguably saw one of the goals of the season go in from Tielemans. Absolute wonderful strike, found that top corner. Honestly, all I think is when I saw that was that old FIFA. You have to buy a ticket to be in the raffle, and he bought a ticket and it went in the top corner. So I think I called a 2-0 result here too, Leicester. I didn't think Brentford would have enough to hold on, but again, even in loss, they've impressed me, and they've shown that they're ready for the Premier League, and we will be seeing Brentford next year in the Premier League. I think they've already done enough. They've already showed enough that they will pick up enough points to stay up.
Yeah. I think earlier this season we're probably writing off Leicester a little bit, maybe not giving them as much credit as they are. They're now 4 games without defeat, 2 draws, 2 wins. They're on the up. I think they're going to take over the likes of a Tottenham and push them out of those spots. So I think we can start giving a bit of credit to Leicester. However, like you said there, Brentford were all over them to start with. And Brentford probably look at this game and think, well, we should have got 3 points here. So not to come away with not even a point, a little bit disappointing. But like you said, that Tielemans goal, back-to-back weeks now, sorry to mention last week, but 2 weeks in a row now where he's just scored wonder goals. And he's becoming like such a gem for the league. He performs for Belgium. I think he's just becoming a quality player, and he's just not getting enough credit, I think. And it's only when he scores these bangers that he starts to really get credit. What do you think, Morty? And were you surprised by the result, or?
I'm not surprised by the result. I think this could have gone either way, and we say it's drop points for Brentford, but they gave us a great game. Like, what more can you ask for out of 2 teams coming up against us? Someone's always going to lose. We can't sit here and go, it's points dropped for them or points dropped because they played a great game. Like, yes, they could have won, but that's the way Brentford play, and they're playing on the nose, and they know that things could happen, go the other way if they don't put one away. So on another day, 2 months' time, Brentford could take the win. So and Leicester, another one of Campo's, Europa. Tired, midweek, come to Premier League, probably another loss. Another team with no depth, apparently. They're showing the big boys that how to do some things right. They've seen their opportunities, so good on them.
All the shots at Campo, and he's not here to defend himself. All right, we're going to get
fire him anyway.
Final game of the round. I don't know who to talk to first. Tony, just put the score there for me, just so we can. No, we're not misreading this. United 0, Liverpool 5 at Old Trafford. Tony, you don't want to speak first, I can see. Morty, thoughts on the game? What everybody's been waiting for this whole pod. They've probably skipped all the way to the end. Hit us with it.
There's so many jokes I can make right now. Like,
You you said on the preview, it's going to be a tricky game. United's always up for this game. So you thought that United would have a goal and that score this game. You were still confident Liverpool would win the game, but it was worrying.
It was tricky for 6 minutes. It was a tricky game for 6 minutes.
But yeah, and I think that's the problem. I think United have been masking that problem for the past few years with the way they were playing, and then they've gone out to this game and go, oh yeah, we can take it to Liverpool, and it has not gone well for them whatsoever. I mean, Maguire, Shaw, Lindelof, Fred, like, that was some of Liverpool's best players. Let's be real. Like, what was it, the first or second goal where literally it was just Shaw and 5 attacking Liverpool players? Yeah, first one. Like, sorry, that was too many to remember, but... look, honestly, like, Liverpool played perfect to a T. Like, I can't put a foot wrong. We took our chances right. Salah just... He's the first bloke to score a hat-trick at Old Trafford away since the original Ronaldo. Like, this is the sort of thing we're going up against. Like, this is probably one of United's lowest. We saw the players leaving it just after half. The team, well, basically the team left at halftime. Popper did, but all the fans walking out of the stadium. Like, I don't know how Ole still has a job. I think Neville was sitting in there defending him after the game, going this and that. But Tony was right. Like, Ole isn't going to take this club any further. Ronaldo, whether it be the meme, whatever it was, mocking something in the game. Ronaldo chucked a dummy spit. You got Pogba sent off. It's thing like Kanate come in for his second game, and even Ronaldo didn't scare him. Like, the bloke's kept a clean sheet there before Varane has. And yeah, like, I don't want to sit here and gloat because it's sorry to see. Like, we talk about this big six, and there are other clubs up there that are fighting more for it.
Like you said, Liverpool were flawless in this game, and a lot of the time, if you are that flawless team in a massive derby like this, you'll probably win the game. But you don't expect to come up against a team that does, like, completely offers the complete opposite, does nothing. This was one of the probably darkest days in United's short history, long history. Tony, like, I want to ask you now, how has Ole, like, not got the sack? We all thought 100% if he loses against Liverpool, even just a loss against Liverpool, he's gone. Yet to lose in this magnitude and still have a job 2-3 days later, I know he could probably get the sack before the week's end, but how has he not been sacked the night of?
I think it's a tough one. I've obviously said love Ole as a player. He's taken the club as far as he can take him, but I think the biggest issue here is you don't want that knee-jerk reaction where you don't have a manager set up and a caretaker comes in and then wins a few games like Ole did. He went on a run, he won a few games, and then all of a sudden we're back to square one where now we've missed out on a manager because we trusted our interim. So I have no doubt that Ole won't be there come season's end, but it's a bit worrying that a club of this level, if we are going to go down that Conte route, didn't already have all this not finalised, but have it in the works that it could have been done the day or the time the game finished. The fact that we're still trying to, or we've just reached out to Conte, we've just done the agreement, we've just done the deal. I was listening to one of the boys, the Sydney United podcast earlier today, and the same way they said, well, the Glazers even watching this game. You go and lose 5-0 to take City out of the equation, take Chelsea out of the equation, our biggest rivals in the Premier League.
Well,
and what was that?
So I was going to say, you saw Sir Alex Ferguson was watching this game. Just his reaction alone should be enough to say that.
Yeah. Like, you see a result, 5-0, you see the fans walking out, you see freaking cameraman, you see Sir Alex with that, then you see the Liverpool fans laughing. Like, honestly, were they watching the game? Like, Ole's gone. He doesn't have a job, but I mean,
the issue is. Sorry, the issue is, and like you said it, and then I obviously refer to as well. It's the Lampard issue. It's a club legend. you almost don't want to sack them because you don't want to tarnish their reputation. You'd almost be saying to Ole, mate, come on, you leave. Go out in your terms and we can say, well done, good job, and get our manager in. I think the way we got rid of Lampard, he should have gone. I didn't want to see him go ever. Like, obviously, club legend, I love him. I thought he could still have taken the club a bit further. He should have gone after a game. He didn't. He then went and won the next game, and they still got rid of him. And then we've brought in Tuchel, and you've just seen what's gone on since. So I think, especially after a result against this, I don't think Ole's reputation is going to be tarnished. Nobody's going to hate Ole after this. We still love and adore Lampard. We still sing his name every game. It's not going to ruin his reputation. You're just going to realise that he just wasn't the man cut out for the job.
I think the longer he sticks around, that's when it's going to get tarnished. I think the fans, if he was to walk away now and go, you know what, I'm not the man for this club, they're going to go, thank you. We're in a much better, and we can't take it away, much better position than when you took over. You've turned the club around. You've got the signings. Now sit back and watch the team get back to where they were. Let someone come in, whether that be Conte, whether that be Zidane, whether that be whoever comes in, let them come in. Let them take the club forward, because one of my biggest takeaways from that Liverpool game was Ronaldo kicks out at Curtis, is it Jones, Scott, whatever his name is? Kicks out at Curtis Jones. 6 Liverpool players run in to defend him. Bruno's the only one that runs in to defend Ronaldo. That's a team that is disheartened, couldn't really give 2 shits what happens to the rest of their teammates. Now, is that from the manager? You can argue both ways, because we saw what happened in the Champions League midweek, but it's worrying signs when you've got a team that just looks so flat. We've kept 1 clean sheet all year. Maguire, I don't know. I think Ole's Googling, my fridge isn't working. How do I fix it? It's just, it's shambolic at the moment. But we do have the players where we are going to win games this year. But it's concerning.
I think you sum it up perfectly. Like you said, the longer it goes on, Ole, he probably is doing himself no favours. I can respect that he's a manager that doesn't want to just give up. He's willing to fight, and I think you see that in his post-game interviews. He just wants to fight. He thinks that there is something there, but maybe you need to just sometimes realise that you're probably not the man for the job. Think of the scenario you're in, and just know when the time's up. It's probably going to happen. Probably before the end of the week, I can say. I don't know if he'll even make it to the next game. Conte, I think, is going to be the new manager. From a Chelsea perspective, you're getting a world-class manager. You even know, obviously, with your Italy background as well. I don't want to see it, because he's a phenomenal manager, and I think he could genuinely turn you into title contender straight away. I would prefer to see you guys go for Zidane. Just from my point of view, I think it would be interesting to see him in the Premier League and how he could probably do well with his team, especially with Ronaldo, Varane. He's coached them before. But regardless, you're going to get a big name manager now. You're not going to have to worry about Ole too much longer, I don't think. It shouldn't be long before this gets turned around. But back to the game at hand, there's some magic moments. Like Salah, it's a hat trick at Old Trafford. He should be getting a standing ovation, but it's not going to happen. That Jordan Henderson pass, phenomenal. And then it's just a tale of a terrible team on the day versus a team that played as perfect as you can. And I think poor Pogba summed it up, coming on for 10 minutes, getting a red card, or 20 minutes, sorry. And both United about.
I don't know about you boys, but if I'm United, it's not even rumours. It's gone out that there's been a contract since early last year. Not just because of this, but if I've got a player that's just gone and done that, he's not signing a contract, I'm removing that contract and saying, see you later. You know what? We lose money, but if you're not committed to the club, well, if Ole's got to go, I think Pogba's in that same boat.
So we saw how good Pogba was at the start of the season when he racked up 7 assists in 2 games or 3 games. Do you think
I think he's quality. On his day, he's quality.
Do you think he's fed up with the manager, and if Conte comes in, maybe he then becomes a play for the club kind of bloke again, or do you think he, regardless of how good he is at times, he's not good for the club?
I mean, Conte can come in, he can get 20 assists, but what's that showing you? When I'm pissed off, I'm not going to play. When I'm not happy with the coach, I'm not going to play. Is that the attitude you want? You have Bruno, who might not have the best game, but every single game he leaves his heart out on that pitch. He might make 20 bad passes, but he's going to give 100%. As much as we knock Fred, he gives 100%. He runs his ass off every single game. He goes in for those tackles. He misses most of them, but he goes in for them. That tackle from Pogba was lazy, frustration, and we're lucky that Liverpool backed off, or that could have been double digits.
Looking ahead,
Yeah.
we'll get into it in the preview for sure, but you've got Spurs this weekend, Tony. Is Ole going to see that game? Or do you think he's gone beforehand? And if he does see the game, I want to just real early, quick prediction here, but does he win and somehow keep his job, or does he see the game? What happens from now until the end of the week?
I think his job's done. I don't know if he sees the weekend purely because we don't have a cup game. We're already knocked out of that, so there's no midweek game to kind of pump him back up, which kind of gives them that extra 2-3 days where they can get rid of him, where there's no football in between.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me come Friday, come Thursday, come Saturday, whenever it is, if he isn't there, he's already been told to see you later. It could be that they're negotiating an amount for him to walk away. It could be they're still trying to finalise Conte before they do it because they don't want an interim in. But, yeah, I think the writing's on the wall. If he's not gone by this week, I think we need to do what Chelsea did, get rid of him regardless of result against Tottenham.
Yeah. All right. We're hitting almost the hour mark. Yeah. I was going to ask, do you guys have any closing statements? So, Morty, feel free, open up.
Just on the manager talk. I mean, you talk about us playing a perfect game. You could still see Klopp visibly pissed off 60th minute. He was still barking orders on that, and that's what you get from a quality manager, and that's what United need. They need someone like that because, again, we've seen United put scores on people, and then you're always just sitting back and going, all right, there you go. And the players think that they've become bigger than what they are, and Pogba's a prime example.
Yeah, I think you look at Klopp, and I'm going to mention Tuchel, and I'm going to mention Pep. 3 best managers in the league. There's no two ways about it. They don't settle for anything less. You could be up 5-0, 7-0, and you still demand something of your players. I think Mikel Arteta, again, he's similar to Ole. I don't think if he's up 7-0, I don't think he's demanding much of his players. I think he's happy with the result. I think it's just a different caliber of manager, and United need that caliber of manager. You always associate United with the best in the world, no matter what. If they bring Conte in, he's going to be that same manager. Zidane will probably be that same manager. So it won't be. I don't think it'll be long before we see United back to the best in the league, back close to fighting. But
I'm over it at the moment. It's training.
You've got the squad, bar that holding midfielder position, and then you're good to go. So it's that manager. I think you'll see a massive change. If that's all from us, boys, we're going to wrap it up. We're going to see
One more thing. Mohamed Salah. No. Not on the United squad. Just highest scoring African player in the Premier League of all time. He's done it in 90 games less than Drogba.
I'm not having that conversation if he's better than Drogba.
I'm not going to say. I'm asking, is he now one of the all-time greats? Is he pretty much going to get himself into a best Prem 11? Has he worked that way? He's getting bloody
Does he
close.
get himself into the best Prem 11? I'm not sure just yet. I think maybe once he leaves Liverpool, yes. You look at his time at the end of his career, yes. But at this current time, no, I'm probably not putting him there. I still think there's enough.
I know, but we sit here all the time. We sit here and say, we look back on players and go, yeah, they were really good.
Do I look at
give him credit at the time?
Do I look at Kevin De Bruyne and put him in the best 11? No. So it's hard to look at players when they're still playing. I think you've got to wait till their career done before you can start playing.
I think with no doubt he's going to be in the discussion. He'll be in that discussion when he does, like we said, when he leaves Liverpool, he's going to be in that discussion. When he retires, it's going to push that discussion even further. Things that work against him, I think, when we do look at that and not taken away from his ability, is the level of defending back then compared to most of the teams in the Premier League today. Do I think he's going to be in the 11? I think on form, he's the first name on the team sheet. It's how he ends his career if he truly cements it. So if he goes into, say, a slump, doesn't score for 20 games, and that's how he's remembered, or scores 5 goals a season for the next couple of seasons, then it's a completely different story. But if he keeps up scoring an average of 10, 15 plus a season, you can't keep him out of that squad.
And to summarise, is he the best player in the world right now? Probably, yes. On form, best player in the world. All
I'm
right.
sick of talking about Liverpool. Aaron, give us a send off.
Yeah, we're gonna end it there. We'll see you for our preview for Matchday 10 in the coming days. Peace.
See you later.